one of the things that we pride ourselves being at Walmart is we are a very purpose-driven organization. So even if an associate joins, whether they join the retail side or they join in finance or they join in tech, one of the things that we do want to do is we want to create personal connection with regards to know the associate does versus know what enterprise is trying to deliver. So the purposeful connection was one important aspect for us as a part of our associate value proposition.
Welcome to the All-in Recruitment podcast by Manatal, where we explore best practices, learnings, and trends with leaders in the recruitment space. If you like our content, please subscribe to our channels on YouTube and Spotify to stay tuned for our weekly episodes. I'm your host, Lydia, and this week we have Arkesh Mishra of Walmart. Welcome to the show, Arkesh.
Hi, Lydia. Glad to be on the show.
So, Arkesh, what's kept you in the people space? So walk us through your journey so far. You've spent 5 years so far at Walmart, I understand.
Yeah. So, my undergrad was in engineering. So I'm an engineer to begin with. However, after a few years of being an engineer, I wanted to explore other spaces, and I ended up, doing a master's in resource management. Um, I've had a very diversified, sort of experience, when it comes to HR. So I started my career with Gallup and started my career, understanding data, diving into a lot of data trends, building hypotheses, validating that. And then I moved into Aeon where, I spent a lot of time helping organizations build their organization design, help build their structures, help, build the right competency and skill models and so on. Post that I moved into, Walmart. Now to, ask me the question is to, what's kept me in HR and what's been the pull for me. So when I look at HR, I feel, in Walmart, I've done multiple roles. I started off in a COE, then, I did a role around strategy and programs, and this is my third role here in Walmart, as the head of people. So if I look at, HR, I feel HR is one of those functions where it brings together the best of many worlds. So that is the ability to, design programs, solve problems at scale. And I love the problem solving part of it, where we are able to create solutions that impact people, and they can help make people's lives better. Being able to help make someone's life better, solve problems and be able to create solutions. That's one bit of it. The second bit of it is you get to interact with a lot of people across just the variety of interactions you'd have and the ability to talk to talent across so many different functions and ability to just know so many people. I think that's been a huge pull for me. The third one I would say is the entire there's a lot of information out there in terms of what should an ideal leader look like, what should an ideal manager look like, what should how should people behave and so on. And being in HR allows us to not just observe, but be able to influence that. And that is a very interesting part of me, getting deeper into human psychology, being able to understand how do we influence outcomes, how do we get people to drive certain behaviors and so on. I think that these are the three things that that have kept me in HR.
It's interesting that you comes from engineering into a people space. It's very technical into a very human sort of element. So were there any transferable skills or a sort of way of thinking that you've taken from engineering into the people space?
Oh, absolutely. The first bit, that I talked about with regards to problem solving, I believe being an engineer helps me, sort of leverage that muscle of problem solving a lot. When when you look at a lot of tech problem solving, it sort of, starts off with what are the symptoms, and then, you start clicking down, and then, you get to a root cause analysis and so on, right? So I have a very similar approach to my problem solving and design thinking as well. So I do borrow a lot of concepts, from my engineering life, and as well as, what engineers even do currently. Like, for example, how do we arrive at the root cause analysis of a situation, or how do you use design thinking to build a solution? when you're building a solution, can we use concepts like user acceptance testing to sort of do a bit of a pilot, see whether the solution works, tweak it, run a couple of iterations or sprints, and then execute it out. So I feel being an engineer has helped me with that aspect of problem solving, solution design, and sort of being able to operationalize. So those are transferable skills that I've been able to cross leverage.
And so in this role, you are now head of people for Walmart U.S. Tech. Right? So what are some key areas that you prioritize in this role?
Yeah, so there are the top three priorities I would say is one is we constantly try and evolve our ability to understand what the talent and the skill landscape looks like, and how do we make sure that the right talent for the right roles. We are constantly upskilling our talent and so on. So that's a big priority for us. With the increasing presence of AI, understanding how does AI sort of get embedded into our ways of working, which skills sort of that need to be updated and so on. Where do our associates need to be upskilled? So that's one priority for us. The second priority is making sure that and when you look at the space of tech and retail, both of these spaces are fairly fast evolving, and there are also spaces where um, change is a constant, and it's a ladder, but I've lived it for many years now. So I would say being able to build the right organization design, being able to have the right leadership team, being able to build the succession pipeline. So that's a second priority. The third is around belonging and well-being, making sure that our associates feel they could bring their whole selves to work, making sure we're creating a psychologically and physically safe environment, making sure that everyone across any sort of all groups, they feel welcome to the workplace. Being able to just create that kind of environment and making sure our associates feel they're taken care of. So that's the third priority.
We'll go into the succession planning part later. And, as you said, it's rapidly evolving, change is constant, especially in that in the parallel that you drew between retail and technology. How is Walmart U.S. Tech structured?
So the way we're structured is all of our tech is it's part of what we call as the Walmart Global Tech Organization. And so, within the Walmart Global Tech Organization, we've got teams that sort of support each of the various business segments. Like, for example, the team that I support, it's the Walmart U.S. Tech Organization, and it's part of Walmart Global Tech, but, this organization supports Walmart U.S. retail business. Then, we've got the Sam's Tech, which supports the Sam's business, and we've got the International Tech that supports international business. However, we've also got horizontals that cut across these segments, which help us build leverage, allow us to build economies of scale. So, for example, we've got teams that help us build platforms in terms of how do we leverage cloud, big data, and so on. We've got teams that help us run our information security system. So those are horizontals.
So we've seen tremendous changes to not just technology, but also the nature of work in the past 3 to 4 years. And that would include the amount of time we've probably spent at Walmart looking into different needs, right? So in terms of these disruptions that have affected the people space over recent years, what are some key takeaways that you've had from this period professionally?
Yeah, so the people space has been evolving, and I've seen fair amount of evolution in the last 5 years. And I wouldn't confine my experiences to Walmart. I was a consultant before I joined Walmart, so you would also be able to experience a lot of the changes as delivering solutions, creating, delivering solutions for my clients as well. So I would say if I was to look at the three trends the three trends that I've seen over the last 5 years, 10 years. So one is the continuous, relevance that skills play, in today's world. Like skills have become the currency through which, we assess talent and as well as assess the capabilities and are able to connect back to the business strategy in terms of, what's the strategy, how is the strategy evolving, and what does that mean from a talent perspective. So I'd say skills have continued to gain a lot of relevance and importance over a period of time. And our ability to, define the right skills across various jobs and the various talent requirements has been super, impactful. So that's one. Second, I would say, the entire focus around belonging and well-being. I would say that's become a very important priority. That's as the world evolves, and as we start to look at, and COVID was a great reset for everybody, right?
Right.
That helped us also, look internally and see, what our priorities are. That's just as humans. So I think that's allowed us to, uh, relook at, priorities as people, and as a result, you can see, well-being has emerged as a key priority, and belongingness, it's one of those things where our ability to make everybody feel welcome and allow everybody to bring the whole self. That's important. So I'd say well-being and belongingness, I would say that's came about importance across. And third, I would say is more of a evergreen topic for me, and it's my favorite topic, which is our ability to design organizations and structure organizations in a way, both from a organization structure perspective, plus the way we build our organization, workforce plans and so on. That's continued to evolve, and that's continued to be a very important. It's been a very important pillar when it comes to strategy, and I've seen that continue to stay as a very key priority across, and not just across Walmart, but across the previous experiences that I've had. So it's these three are the trends I would say that I've observed over the last decade or so.
And in terms of attracting the right talent, perhaps you have the right kind of scope and you find the right kind of skill you can match, but retaining top tech talent, as you said, in terms of planning their growth and in the organization, what are some best practices that you think you could share with us?
A few years back, we said, if you remember it, during 2021, there was this massive boom where, like all sorts of talent was, all sorts of functions were facing a lot of attrition. So one of the questions we asked ourselves is, what's our associate value proposition? Because of which, our associates would want to stay at Walmart Global Tech. What is that we offer that's unique and different? So some of the things that we narrowed down was, one was we said that one of the things that we pride ourselves being at Walmart is we are a very purpose-driven organization. So even if an associate joins, whether they join the retail side or they join in finance or they join in tech, one of the things that we do want to do is we want to create personal connection with regards to know the associate does versus know what enterprise is trying to deliver. So the purposeful connection was one important aspect for us as a part of our associate value proposition.
Sorry, Arkesh, purposeful interactions, right? What does that look like?
Right. So purposeful interaction, purposeful connection, and also what we mean by that is ability to connect what you do as an associate to the overall mission of the organization. And, for example, we strongly believe that we help our, customers save money and live better. So what, an associate does today, how does that enable the end customer to, either save time or, save money or both? And as a result, a lot of initiatives that, associates work on, we try and connect the dots between what they do versus, what our end purposes. That's one. Second is a lot of initiatives or, a lot of programs that we drive are driven towards this particular objective of helping a customer save money and live better. And being able to know that, the work that, you're doing actually is helping another person or another customer being able to, achieve both of those outcomes. That does add a lot of value and ambition to someone's life, and we've seen that. So that's something that we have seen other associates appreciate, and as well as the external candidates appreciate a lot.
Now, in terms of recruitment technology and the overall scope of things, that you look into probably also enabling these processes to be put in place so you can speed up and streamline that hiring process, right? So in your experience, how has recruitment technology, or rather, as you mentioned earlier, the increased usage of Gen AI, how has that impacted HR and over these past years?
Yeah. No, absolutely. That's a really good question because we have been, Walmart has been ahead of the Gen AI curve, and we've seen opportunities across enterprise to, remove friction and provide a more personalized interface and deliver tools that our associates need. So we introduced something called the Me at Campus app. And it's a personalized resource that allows associates to manage their career, financial well-being, their learning journeys, teams, and so on. So now, to your question with regards to how is recruitment sort of benefited from this. So what we've done is we've essentially, so if you look at typical way of like even going about the entire recruitment process, is just opening a rec takes a certain amount of time. But it was not as easy a process. Even though we use Workday. So what we've done is, because we've introduced this app, so opening a rec now is like a one-step process. You just go to the app, you're clicking in which row you want to open, which rec you want to open, and then you just press a submit, and it opens the rec, and everything that needs to happen on the back end, the AI, the Gen AI, takes care of all of those required process. So it's not like I have to go and in like 20 different teams to then post a rec. So we reduced a lot of time that would have otherwise gone into the entire process. Even to the point today, a lot of scheduling and a lot of coordination that's being also automated. So a scheduler doesn't need to now go to my calendar to look for time set interviews. The AI agent goes to calendars and sets up time automatically. So we don't really need to spend time scheduling and so on. So we're bringing in a lot of cutting edge Gen AI enabled work to make sure that where we spend time, which is probably non-value added time, that's coming down.
You mentioned earlier also that one of those priorities that you're looking into is succession planning and talent reviews. I would imagine being part of that. So what has been the approach towards succession planning and managing the talent that has come?
Right. So when you look at succession planning, there are two parts to the question. One part is which are those roles that we would like to plan for them. Secondly, how do we go about identifying the talent that would be part of the succession pipeline? So we do focus on roles, that we focus on business critical roles, plus also, we focus on roles particularly that are officer and above, group directors and above. So with regards to, how do we identify successors, we have a very rigorous framework, through which we look at someone's aspirations, their agility to, like move across roles, their ambition in terms of, how they want to grow, their ability, as an associate. So we look at all of these factors. And then on the back of that, we try and understand, if we were to look at someone today, let's say, someone is a director, what's their runway towards, becoming, let's say, vice president, or if someone's a senior director, can they be a vice president or a senior vice president someday? And those associates who show, or at least, show the green shoots of being able to, go through that runway and be one of those associates who can be accelerated through that growth journey, those are the associates who sort of take a call. And then, the process is pretty simple. The managers, would take these parameters and we would, rate the respective team members. And then there's the calibration that, across a leadership, across the leadership group that sort of addresses and understands whether the managers' ratings are aligned or not. So that's helped us, build our succession pipeline. However, one of the things that I'd also like to include is we've also, spent time understanding that once we've identified, our high potentials or hypos, how do we make sure that they are set up for success? Towards that, there are certain interventions where they need to be part of certain leadership programs, or someone could benefit from an exec coach, or someone could benefit from a certain program. Those are the bespoke approaches that we take to make sure that our high potentials are set up for success, and we are actually enabling them to move forward and accelerate on their growth journeys.
When it comes to succession planning and looking into the talent pipeline that you have, is there an ideal frequency towards which you have to review this and look into it so that you know that the people that you've picked or have seen as being high potentials would stay in the organization?
Right. So, I personally follow two approaches towards that. One is at the beginning of every financial year, which is by March, April of every year, we make sure that we've looked across our high potentials across the BP and the group directors and senior directors, making sure that we have understood how does our succession, how does our hypo bench look like, and if we were to start building our succession pipeline from those levels, how does that look like? So at the beginning of the year, we go through all of those kind of issues. So that's there. However, the other thing I strongly believe on is an always on talent mindset, which is, and this is where the succession, plan sort of starts to come into effect, which is instead of, slotting people in a specific roles, we create a, much more of a shared awareness around a common pool from which we could, take someone, consider them from a role that may not be in the functional area. So I could be, let's say, let's say I'm high potential. I could be in the in the tech people space, but I could be considered for a role, let's say, in the retail people space. So that allows us to be more dynamic. That allows us to keep an always on talent mindset to say that, okay, the role opens up. I'm not just, considering people in that narrow vertical. I'm considering people across. And that allows us to, constantly keep on, looking at, oh, these are the 10 hypos that I have today in the officer level, or, these are the 20 hypos that I have at the group director level. So both of these have worked pretty well for us. So, doing the reviews at the beginning of the year, then that allows us to have the entire year to, sort of people around. And then when a role opens up, being able to consider a much larger pool of candidates rather than, narrowing it to function, narrowing it down to a particular function.
And to keep that dynamism behind that kind of plan, you probably have to, as you said, those interventions that would come in place, right? So that would fall under L&D, I imagine, or is that also under?
Yes, so the leadership learning team, helps us with the broader programmatic management. The leadership learning team helps us, with the frameworks and how do we sort of go around the calibrations, and then we take it forward.
Well, Arkesh, you've obviously spent a very interesting amount of time looking into people needs and also looking into large organizations' needs when it comes to talent. So what advice would you give someone who's starting out in the people space today?
I would say, three things. One is skills that I believe is relevant across any function or, just as a human, is building strong problem solving skills. So, and it's easy to get lost in the day to day and not focus on building someone's problem solving skills. So it's building problem solving skills is one of the first things that someone venturing into any sort of job or professional career should look at. That's one. Second is in the people space, it's easy to conflate the people space for being a governance function versus being a advisory plus governance function. We shouldn't be seen as the policeman out there, trying to just enforce certain policies or regulations. So ability to balance the adequate balance between where it's an advisory function versus where it needs to be governance. That's important. Being able to be agile in that space, that's very important. The third is being able to have a diverse perspective, being able to consider multiple perspectives rather than just considering the business perspective or the associate perspective or policy perspective, being able to consider all of these perspectives and then being able to arrive at a decision. That's more important. Sometimes it takes a little longer to arrive at the decision, but that decision is more thought through and it's a decision that someone will be comfortable with, or at least a lot of stakeholders will be comfortable with. I would say that these are the three skills I would recommend for someone and venturing into this space.
HR itself, in terminology, human resources, moving into a different scope, which is a rather different sort of branding for the role, which is now people, right? So, have you seen any changes in terms of the mindset that comes with even change in the way in the way it's titled?
I think the people function, makes it a lot. I mean, in Walmart, by the way, we call ourselves a function, and I feel it's more human resources. While it is called human resources, but I would say by making it the people function, we've made ourselves more sensitive to the fact that like we're not just managing resources. Like you would manage, digital resources, or you manage hardware, software, things like that. People come with their own selves. People need to be comfortable, being themselves. When making decisions, we need to balance multiple perspectives. I think these are certain things that are gaining more awareness. And I would say that's something, I would say that's been a change moving from HR to people.
Well, thank you so much, Arkesh, for your time and all these generous insights. So for whoever's listening in who wants to pick up a conversation with you and understand more about any of the topics that we've talked about today, where can they connect with you?
They can reach out to me on LinkedIn.
Okay, great. And it's just look for you at Arkesh Mishra.
Yes,
Yeah.
It's a pretty unique name. I mean, now they can reach out to me on LinkedIn. They can look up for it.
Okay, excellent. And we have been in conversation with Arkesh Mishra of Walmart. Thank you for joining us. And remember to subscribe to stay tuned for more weekly episodes from All in Recruitment.